Hey, I never expected this to happen, but I recently reached 1000 subscribers on my YouTube channel, so I wanted to do a Q&A. I asked my followers on Instagram to ask me any questions they liked, and I filtered some to get you answered. Let's get started by the first question. The first question is from G. McGremlius, if I said it out right. What inspired you to get started sharing tech tips and humor on social media? Well, actually, it all went by itself. I started my Instagram account now 9 years ago or so, and I was mainly sharing about music events I was hosting and slowly started to share more about my time in college when I was doing game development or starting game development. It just went actually by nature. I started to take it more seriously, and when Reels came out and become more popular on Instagram platform, I also started to get along with the trend and start to make some Reels which I found would be useful but also are funny enough for people to enjoy. So that's actually how it all started. Second question is by Synetic, if I said that out right again. I'm not sure if I can pronounce them all right, so bear with me about that. But their question is, should future passionate game developers go to university for game development? My opinion about that is yes, but it's a very sensitive topic. It's not necessary, but I think it's a great way to get yourself into the field of any tech-related profession, so also for game development. For me, myself, I went to college, even though I didn't learn that much about game development itself, because it's quite a broad field. I am very happy that I did go to college, because it really helped me with the fundamentals. That's one thing for sure. But also helped me to learn how to work in teams and how to get in touch with the industry, how to get my first internship, and you get to learn classmates who also start to know people in the field. So you start to get these connections to get your first foot into the field as well. So that's very useful. So that's why I would recommend everyone to go to uni or college or whatever to start learning about game development or programming in general, but mainly just to get the connections and get the experience. The learning itself is mainly done by self-study, even though you go to the college, because it's still so broad. I don't think any college or degree could help you understand the full fundamentals of game development, because if you go full 3D or full mobile or full ad games, it's all very different. Next question is from Land Properties with Glass. They ask, any piece of advice from your journey for someone who wants to begin game development journey? My advice will be to mainly follow your interest. What I found crucial in my own journey is that I kept following the things I enjoyed creating the most, which were just some side projects and some things I was interested in. I personally was very interested in systems, so I started creating some. So I was creating some small engines or rendering pipelines and just tried to create some network servers and all of that, and played around with math projects to get myself more into the understanding of that. And that all really helped and also gave me a big step forward when I was in college, because not everyone was doing that, but everyone who was doing a lot of their spare time with the projects they genuinely liked, they really got a step ahead of the rest. So I think that's really important. Just keep following your interest, keep creating what you think is fun to create, and just learn from that progress. Next is by one of my Instagram friends, Peter Pendev. He asked, what will it take to get a shout out on my Instagram? Well, for me, I'm not really that into giving other people shoutouts, but if your content is great and if I think it's worth noting for others, especially if you're not that well known, like you don't have that many followers, I always like to share those, but I'm also not really into the search of those, so it's mainly if I bump into them or if I happen to connect with someone who I think is worth getting some more attention, then I will definitely share them on my Instagram. Next question is by CC On and then 00. What programming language do you find most useful? For me, I think that's C++, and that's mainly because of the strength of it, especially in games. Seeing the history of C++ and how much it has brought to the game development field. For example, the engines which we know of, like Unity, is also created in C++, even though you develop in there with C#. I think it's having a major role in the industry, so that's why I think it's the most useful, or maybe the most important, and that's why it's most useful in my opinion. Next question is by learnhub98.ir. Give me an incentive to keep going. For me, my best or biggest incentive to keep going is a quote by Roy T. Bennett, and the quote is, instead of worrying about the things you can't control, shift your energy to the things you can create. This helped me always a lot every time I'm struggling or am doubting things because I am too much in my head by the things I cannot control. For example, something I just don't know yet or don't have enough knowledge for, or think I'm not good enough to take a certain task. I just start to think about the things I have created or which I can create or which I know I can do, and start more thinking about those things to get myself more motivated and maybe even swift that trigger and think like, yeah, maybe I cannot do this, but I could do that, this and that, so why shouldn't I at least try? Next question is from MZ Code and Cowboy AD. They both ask the same question, is what IDE I use. The IDE I use professionally is JetBrains Rider. I really enjoy this IDE. It's from Intel IJ and it's mainly for C#. I work professionally in Unity 3D. So we use JetBrains Rider for that, and it's great with its built-in tools and all of that. And the searching is also great, and for styling as well for the conventions. But in my personal opinion, I don't think there is like a favorite or best IDE. I can actually work in any IDE. As long as I can write my code, and if I can do a more Ctrl+C than once. I have experience with doing Notepad in the beginning, and I will never doing that again. But Notepad++ is a great alternative for that. So I think everything is great. I also really enjoy using Sublime Text. I use that mainly for some quick text editing and such. So the IDE I use mainly is JetBrains Rider, but I can use any IDE if I need to. Next question this is an impossible name for me to pronounce, but I'm gonna try. Shruti Dakshani. I have no idea, I will probably be somewhere on the screen now as well. Is how to deal with annoying coworkers. I found this question quite funny. I luckily don't have that annoying coworkers at my work. But what I do find most annoying from some coworkers is if they start whistling. Mainly people in other rooms or people walking by. It just really annoys me if someone is starting to whistle in the office. But for me, the best solution to that is some noise cancellation headsets or earbuds. I have both the Sony headphones, the MX3 and the MX4 earbuds. So they are great for that. So if you have annoying coworkers, I think noise cancellation with music is perfect. Next question by TH Mohammed 49 is, how should I remember all the functions for Unity in C#? Well, I think you shouldn't, to be honest. And because I'm doing Unity for years now, almost 5 years professionally, and I still don't know them all. But I think Unity has a great documentation, so just keep remembering what you need to create, and then just try to search them online or directly in their documentation and find the functions which will be useful for your needs. Next question is by eldridge.dev, and he asks, what will be the next 5 years tech trend? And then some dollar signs. I find this impossible to answer, mainly because the tech trends are changing all the time. There can be a new game coming tomorrow which will be booming, for example, like Flappy Bird did, but also like now, for example, Rush Royale, and so it's just really unpredictable. It can be a card game next time, and it can be a fun hyper casual game the other time. It's really unpredictable. Maybe there will be some more with the NFTs. I don't know. I'm not too sure about that, but I think it's just too unpredictable because it's just changing so rapidly, and I just cannot keep track of every new trend, and so it will probably be something we cannot foresee right now. And the next question, also asked by two people, by Mugkind333 and Pato390. They both ask, maths for game development, how do you learn? I think you mainly learn by practice. Practice doesn't make perfect, but practice makes improvement. So just trying to simulate some physics or simulate some mathematics is, I think, a great way. Just what you can do, for example, is just if you play some games on your Xbox or PlayStation or on your PC, just try to replicate some of their, what you think are mathematically quite hard. For example, a grapple hook or special jump or a dash. All those things can be very interesting to start playing around and try to replicate it yourself. So I think the best way to learn about math is just by doing and by creating. And if you find something online you find interesting, just try to replicate it and play around with it and play with the values. These were all the questions. There's also one question which I got asked a lot by quite a lot of people, and that's how to become a game developer. I think this is a question I will answer in a separate video, maybe somewhere this year, or I'm not too sure when I will have the time for that. But I do have a guide on my Instagram with 15 posts, which I posted now almost 1.5 years ago. I still think it's a good guide for you to get yourself started, so I would highly recommend you to read that. I will add the link to the description for that guide. But there's no clear path, as I also said in my 6 projects to get yourself started. There's no clear path to become a game developer, but it will take a lot of time and effort, and thereby you really need to be passionate to chase this career dream. I have faced it as well. It took me also about 4 to 5 years to get into the professional field, so you just need to be aware of that. But as long as you just do it for fun and just keep the passion high, you will definitely come through. So this is it. This was my first Q&A ever actually. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please leave me a like and subscribe, and you can put up the bell notification for next videos to come. I am currently preparing some videos for some math classes to add some simple practices with mathematics for games to get more into the depth in math in game development. So I really hope you are excited for that, or at least as excited for that as I am. But I will take the time for them to create. I learned my lessons from the tic-tac-toe series that I can better prepare first a few ahead, so I can keep the consistency in launching new videos. So thank you all for watching, and I hope to see you in the next video. Goodbye.